Dr. Fauci and the medical industry lied.
And all that's great until you're sick. And all that's great until someone like RFK Jr. actually comes out and has the nerve and audacity to call out someone like this senator. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Okay. Once you become sick, there's nothing more important than getting healthy again. Nothing. No, there's no money, there's no material things that you're going to want more than that. Nobody. And like I think I said in one of our very early episodes, I worked in the healthcare field for years. I was a paramedic, I worked in heart surgery. I had people literally take their last breath while I was in front of them with them. And never did I hear someone say, "Hey, go get my Porsche out from the front. I want to die in the Porsche." No one ever said, "Hey, get my money out of the safe. I want to hug my money one last time." If anything, these people wanted to be with their families. It's To me, that's why I'm so passionate about it. And this has only gotten more and more painful. We lived through the last pandemic and we were being told things that were just outright lies by these experts. And probably, who would you say was the leading expert that was leading the charge and telling us what was right and what was wrong then? There's only one person.
His Lord Highness, Mr. Science himself, the king of all knowledge, Dr. Fauci.
And like other elected officials or people that are appointed to positions like him, ultimately, they believe that people won't think back to the past and they'll not remember the past. I remember some of the things that happened back in the 80s, and I remember this next clip that I want to put up just to point out that we need to make a radical change to how healthcare is delivered. That we can't just blindly listen to people telling us stuff, because you can't be right one day and then change your story the next day. We were being told that everyone had to be vaccinated or else, and that was the only way to protect from a virus that now we understand the people that are vaccinated. We're finding out even as recently as this week, there's some real problems that are being discovered for the population that's been vaccinated. But let's see what Dr. Fauci said long before we ever heard of COVID-19. This has to do with another similar virus. What did he say about having to get the flu shot?
But she had the flu for 14 days. Should she get a flu shot?
No, if she got the flu for 14 days, she's as protected as anybody can be, because the best vaccination is to get infected yourself.
And
So
she
if she really has the flu, she definitely doesn't need a flu vaccine. If she really has the flu,
she should not get it again.
No, she doesn't need it, because it's the most potent vaccination is getting infected yourself.
Yeah, and this is exactly what happened to me.
How much money did we point out in a recent episode that Dr. Anthony Fauci made in the 3 years just in the tail end of the pandemic?
15 million or 4.7 million or something like
I
that.
think he doubled his just 15 million, so he made like 7.5 million. Okay.
Yeah.
So what would motivate someone to change what he was saying, that if you catch a virus, that's the best way to become immune to it, essentially, to be protected from it, to develop immunity. And then all of a sudden, so was he lying then, or was he lying more recently during the pandemic?
Definitely more recently.
They can't both be right. One of them is not right. And this is the problem with healthcare in general. And this has to do with much of what we see going on. We have, unfortunately, things that are not the way they should be. And I think that's sad. I think the good news is that I think people's eyes are opening to this and there is a pushback. And I think if you think about it, ultimately we have people even mocking some of the things that are going on. People are basically going and pointing out the insanity we have in our healthcare system and pharmaceutical system. And one very talented young musician decided to make a song about something along the same lines. He's basically mocking the pharmaceutical industry, talking about a drug that is probably one of the most popular drugs right now.
Yeah, so one of the reasons I never got the COVID vaccine was because, you remember, I was one of the very first people in all of the state of Florida to test positive for COVID. So right away, I had it, I got over it, it was no big deal, and I realized that I should have natural immunity. And by all accounts, by all causes, I should have natural immunity. And then I kept on watching TV and I kept on watching Fauci, who was the #1 specialist on planet Earth, blah, 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 blah. And they kept on repeating the vaccine And in the meantime, millions of people already had natural immunity. I was like, how come they're always cutting us, this really important cohort, off the discussion? They're talking about vaccine passports, vaccine this, vaccine. Why aren't they mentioning that people who already had COVID don't need the vaccine? And I kept on asking, I was like, what's with people who have? It was either they're always divided the world into two, the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Are you vaxxed or unvaxxed? Vaxxed or unvaxxed? Wait, what's with me? I should have previous immunity. But nobody would mention it. None of the TV channels would ask a single question about it. And that's what really throwed me off, because it was like, I don't think I should need this vaccine, even if the doctors are telling me to get it, because I know that this is a virus, and all other viruses, natural immunity is the best immunity you can have, as Dr. Fauci said back then. Why should I go ahead and get this vaccine? And therefore, thankfully, I never did. And I'm very happy that was the case. But the fact that they were like deliberately just ignoring the most obvious of cohort of people, right? Vax or unvax, what's with the people who were previously infected? No mention. Nobody talking about it, nobody interviewing, no questions, no media willing to discuss it. And that was like the number one tale that they were just full of BS. Yeah, let's go ahead and watch the
Same thing
song.
with me, though, but that's the same thing with me. I didn't get vaccinated for the same reason, because I pulled up in research from the National Institutes of Health. I pulled up information I knew Fauci knew, and I saw that he was not telling the truth. Information on hydroxychloroquine, on ivermectin, on vitamin D, on so many things. And I'm like, it's impossible that he doesn't know this. And there had to be some underlying reason why he was lying. There's no polite way to say it. And because there was concerns because of the mRNA vaccines not being really a tested technology, and in fact, in the past, they had been paused because there were some real problems with them that now we're discovering is in fact the truth. We are now having, in fact, there's talk today announced that both Pfizer and Moderna might have to expand their warnings to include a warning about risks for heart inflammation in adults and young adults, primarily men, because that's the population that seems to be having the biggest problem with this. And there's been numbers of cases of sudden death, otherwise healthy individuals that are young and healthy. And all this had been swept under the rug, and now it's being looked at. And this is horrible. And again, this is on the same exact topic that if there's medical information, there has to be open debate. We have to have people having informed consent. People have to understand all the available options and all the available therapies. And in our country, too often that has not been the case. Even the flu vaccine, okay? The reality is the flu vaccine is only about 30 something to 40 some percent effective each year. Most people don't realize that. Now, that may be a value for folks that are in nursing homes, that are frail. It's not like it has no value, but it's not some kind of blanket protection. Doesn't exist.
Really, when it's 50-50, or it's really just tossing the
It's
coin,
not
right?
even 50. It's less than 50-50. So that's the
Right.
reality. And
Make
so
it
much.
out to be 99.99%. How did you not get your flu shot yet? It's like everybody's
Yeah.
asking you that, but they're never saying, hey, how did you not get your flu shot that has a 30% success rate and a 70% chance that it'll give you some horrible side effect who you never wanted or thought about?
Absolutely. And I think these are decisions that have to be made, but they have to be made with informed consent. You have to understand the actual likely benefit and the actual potential risks. And that's why you have this talented young man singing this song mocking the pharmaceutical industry. And let's sing along.
Is your hunger a source of guilt and shame? Did they tell you your DNA's to blame? Did they sell you an injection just to help stand your reflection? Did the doctor recommend this novel way? Chemical assisted self-starvation, it's the biggest fad in all the nations. And my glutide tells my brain that your blood sugar's okay, and then your brain tells your stomach slowed down, dadgummit, and the pounds just melt away. Novo Nordisk is a carpet bagging, elixir peddling, profiteering, mafia masquerade.
It is what it
That
is.
was great.
It is what it is, and you should look this guy up. Just Google again the Ozempic song, and he has all other kinds of great songs that he's got as well. Does a great job, very talented, and very to the point. And like you said, humor sometimes. In this case, humor with music is sometimes the best way to get the message across. I think that's super important. And ultimately, There is no shortage of information coming out now, and I think maybe perhaps with former President Biden being sick, maybe both sides of the aisle might actually finally be motivated enough to fix how we deliver healthcare and fix how honest we are about healthcare.
Be sure to watch our other clips and shorts and the entire episode 12 of The Yojo Show.